Welcome to my YouTube channel, folks. I'll describe the film White Elephant, which has a running time of 1 hour and 30 minutes and a gross of $37,000. It features a cast that includes Bruce Willis, Vedere Derbez, John Malkovich, Olga Kurylenko, and Michael Rooker. White Elephant's story as follows. White Elephant isn't particularly inventive. But that doesn't stop it from being both thoroughly entertaining and genuinely captivating, as Michael Rooker's lead performance elevates the crime-action thriller. He portrays Gabriel Tancredi, a widower and former Marine who works for mobster Arnold Solomon. Gabriel Tancredi. Michael Rooker, Corrective Measures, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, is an enforcer working for Arnold. Bruce Willis. They have Carlos Vedere Derbez, The Seventh Day, the waiter, deal with a rival who won't negotiate. He handles the matter, but a pair of cops, Vanessa Olga Kurylenko, Black Widow, Quantum of Solace, and her partner, Michael Rose, 2177, The San Francisco Love Hacker Crimes, A Dark Place, see him making his escape. Arnold gives Gabriel and Carlos 48 hours to take care of that problem. And they get half the job done quickly and easily. But finishing it off may be more work than they expected. Working from a script he co-wrote with Eric Martinez, Beyond the Mat, Chung Koo Ma, and some additional dialogue by Catherine Lee McEwen. Hell Hath No Fury, Solitary. Johnson gets things going with a well-staged shootout. And after a bit of introduction to our leads, he delivers an assault on Vanessa's house that has the side effect of setting off a power struggle among the local mobs. There's more action in this film's first half hour than in the entire length of most of Willis' recent films. Thankfully he doesn't let the pace up either, because when White Elephant has to depend on its story, it's a lot less impressive. We've seen it all before. Vanessa is ex-military and has PTSD from her time in Afghanistan. Gabriel's conscience has been bothering him since the death of his wife. Carlos is the young hotshot ready to make his mark. Toss in some dirty cops, dangerous friends, and a crooked lawyer who quotes Greek history. John Malkovich, the survivalist, shattered, and stir well. To answer the question I know you all have, Willis is actually fairly decent in White Elephant. He even gets into the action when an attempt on his life takes out his wife Lauren Buglioli. Transference, horror noir instead. There are moments though where he sounds out of it or bored, although in the scenes at the hospital he may have been trying to portray Arnold's mental numbness over what had just happened. Malkovich is good in an extended cameo. Even Willis is on screen more than he is. Kurylenko likewise does well as our heroine. Derbez however is fairly bland as her nemesis, though there isn't a lot for him to work with. It's Rooker that steals the show as the conflicted enforcer. He does a good job projecting what he's going through and makes a cliched but rarely believable character arc work. He also gets the film's best line, "I'm a contract killer, not a contractor," after his estimate of a building's sturdiness proves to be way off. But at the end of the day, people watch Johnson's movies for the action, not the acting. And while none of the cast is as good as Johnson's usual star Scott Adkins, stunt coordinator Luke LaFontaine, the mercenary, the Sant makes sure the action scenes in White Elephant are crisp and well staged. It also looks like the bullet hits were done with mostly practical effects, which makes for a nice change. While the relatively low budget show at times and the script is nothing special, White Elephant is an above-average film for its budget and market. It's one of the rare action films in its budget range to deliver plenty of solid action scenes. It may also be your last chance to see a good performance from Bruce Willis. This unfortunately timed body count features Bruce Willis, who has to have half his lines dubbed or looped. Eugenio Derbez is handsome and wooden as a Sequoia sun. Tifton, Georgia, substituting for the southwest border country, and almost zero non-corrupt police presence evident as larger and larger teams of TAC-geared hired killers come after Clean Cop, Olga Kurylenko, and Miss. Seems about right. Michael Rooker stars as a veteran hired killer with a pretty boy protege, Vedere Derbez, a mob lawyer, John Malkovich, go-between, an impatient mob boss, Willis, and a dead wife whom he broods over, all the way through the movie. A gang war involving that boss, the Mexican mafia, and the Russians, is breaking out, and the hitmen find themselves having to clean up. Two cops, Michael Rose and Kurylenko, who saw the sniper school-trained and tattooed Carlos Derbez after a murder. She proves to be pretty hard to take out. Malkovich is here to give Rooker a little lecture on ancient Greek justice. Willis is here to give orders, sometimes in his own voice, "Put a bullet in that bee," head or I'll put one in yours. White Elephant is a rather good binge-watchable action thriller that has all the necessary elements in the right quantities, not to mention a bland Bruce Willis. However, Willis is completely sidelined in the film by our protagonist, the very cool Michael Rooker. The story isn't new but is able to hold on to the attention it seeks. The best thing about White Elephant is that it does not try to philosophize about the protagonist's character. This is something many films like this often tend to do, and in the process, overdo themselves and lose the sense of reality and urgency that should come with the story. Overall, it is a nice attempt at showing a hitman being brought face to face with his conscience. In Vanessa's file, Gabe finds out that she shares her date of birth with his wife. He cannot help but let it affect him. It is a common thing to associate people who share their birthdays. For Gabe, this association is way more personal than it should have been, since the very woman she is trying to kill shares her birthday with the love of his life. Yes, it sounds a bit too much. But look at it like this. Remember when Batman was about to kill Superman in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, but he stopped the moment he heard Superman pronounce the name, Martha. It's a similar kind of feeling. These two are different things but both root from the same feeling, i.e. love. And it was only a matter of time before Gabe gave into his emotions, which was further propelled by Arnold's immature behavior to put lives at risk, which is something totally against his nature. Here, it can also be said that perhaps the only reason why he does what he does is that he had no idea what else to do with his life. His wife died of cancer long ago, and he decided to do what he does best, which is to protect. However, all that he needed was a sign that would make him understand that he was still the man that his wife believed him to be. And that sign was Vanessa. Sure enough, at the end of the film, Gabe gives his wife's necklace to Vanessa. As long as the necklace was in his possession, he knew he had to protect it. But now that it was with Vanessa, it was in its rightful place. Also, it symbolizes embracing the truth and thus letting go of the pain. And that is what he does when he spreads Alexandria's ashes in Africa, the very place where he promised his wife he would go and serve for good. White Elephant is a 2022 drama thriller film directed by Jesse V. Johnson, anchored by a stolidly warm performance from Michael Rooker, a man whose filmography more than fills out with tombstone-faced psychopaths. White Elephant details the final job of enforcer Gabriel Tancredi Rooker, pit between loyalty to mob boss Arnold Solomon Willis and redemption in helping a detective, Olga Kurylenko, with a price on her head. Johnson's Gangland, shot by Jonathan Hall, who's been by Johnson's side on 7 of his past 8 projects, seems to consist purely of liminal space, where even an Italian restaurant festooned in faux rustic charm, in which apparently high-ranking mafiosos hang out, bears the aura of the in-between. Dry conversations occur in faceless cars and offices. A mausoleum is a hallway too, but offers some colorful reprieve. Evil a banal and bloodless business, except for when blood gets everywhere. Add to these drab, scummy spaces the tired visage of John Malkovich's professional corrupt lawyer Glenn Follett, his performance best described as undemanding, and Rooker's simmering presence as the most reassuringly competent mass murderer in any room. In turn, White Elephant too often proceeds as dull and dreamy, an occasionally violent eulogy for a life of crime for which we have little context. We know Gabe's wife, a wildlife activist, died a few years before. We know, as Gabe mentions to his young upstart of a partner, Vedhar Derbez, that he wants to finally do what his wife always wanted him to do, which is to get out of the life. 2. As he explains very sincerely, use his military and homicidal training to go save the elephants in Africa. Which, great. Happy for him. In these few set pieces, where predominantly soldiers or bent cops stalk their prey through shadowy homes and are successively put down by the dozen with little flourish outside of a John Wick brand of headshot, Johnson thrives, giving each fight functional fluidity punctuated by more than enough bone-crunching bravura. Kurylenko, following on last year's Sentinel, continues to find rewarding characters in this realm of hyper-real, PTSD-riddled action cinema. But as is the case with Gabe, we're not really given much to chew on in Flynn's internal life besides an admittedly penetrating glower and a hand tremor. She also has the same birthday as Gabe's dead wife, which draws Gabe to Flynn in the first place, which is as silly as Gabe's partner screaming, "Let's terminate this bitch," before trying, for the first time, to take her out. If only White Elephant weren't so serious. In scenes during which life is not flaunted and bodies not exsanguinated, Johnson leans into crime cinema, neo-noir especially, wandering through the sad inevitability of Friends of Eddie Coyle, say, or the overstylized end-of-history vibes of Killing Them Softly, but rarely surfacing for anything more compelling than vague pastiche and exhausted line readings. Johnson's got a sense of humor. Avengement sings with a sick streak, and The Debt Collector basically subjects Scott Adkins' wise-ass Frenchie to increasingly, comically huge foes. But by the time we're approaching the final standoff and a smile grows across Rooker's face, corpses piling up at his doorstep, White Elephant has already ground out too much runtime on dour discussions about getting old. First he must take care of a situation for his boss, the aforementioned extremely un-Italian mafia don Arnold Solomon. Willis is, as one might expect, on screen for no longer than a few seconds at a time, his lines short and declarative, but still, to the extent that White Elephant explores the near-death birth of morality within obsolescing criminal elements, Bruce Willis is downright ruminative, a man losing control of everything he's built over the course of a lifetime. Johnson never quite digs in deeper on the existential angst, preferring to instead give Willis the chance to light up some Russian thugs with a machine gun and otherwise sit around, brow effectively furrowed. Solomon is so pissed because he's having trouble eliminating the last witness to a botched assassination he ordered, the target the aforementioned Detective Vanessa Flint Kurylenko, a woman who shares a penchant for murder with Gabe. They're both ex-military, and tenaciously avoids one kill squad after another. All of course culminates in the destruction of Gabe's country mansion, where Vanessa helps him take on the remaining firepower of Solomon's organization. Thanks for watching this channel. Please like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Click the bell button. Movie review notification will be your mobile phone.